Hi Zoo fans, I'm Michelle, I'm the education manager here, and this is...
Hi, I'm Teresa, and I'm an education instructor here at the zoo.
Thank you for joining us today on our virtual voyage, and we're here to talk to you about skulls and everything that you can learn about them. So just real quick, we're going to go through 3 skulls today, and we are going to look at different things. We're going to look at the length of the skull, and that is going to give us an estimate that we can use to estimate the size of the body from the tip of the snout down to the tip of, or base of the tail. We are then going to look at the eye position, so where the eyes are located in the head. And then we're going to look at the type of teeth to tell if it's an herbivore, an omnivore, or a carnivore. So does it eat plants? Does it eat only meat? Or does it eat both? And then we're going to look at the bite, what kind of a bite strength it has. Ready to join us? We hope you'll follow along with us. So our first skull right here, we're going to do a length. And we're just going to take the length of the skull from the tip of the nose down. That's 32 centimeters. You guys all write that down for me? Because now we're going to go and multiply that by 5. And that's going to give us the length of the body from the tip of the nose to the base of the tail. So 32 times 5 is going to give us 160 centimeters. That is almost 5 feet long. Pretty big animal, right? All right, so now we're gonna take a look at the eye position. Where are the eyes located? Are they in the front or are they on the side? A general rule is eyes on the side, I like to hide, meaning you tend to be prey. Eyes in the front, I like to hunt, is a predator. Now, with every science rule, there are always exceptions, but this is gonna work for us today. So take a look at the eyes, and I'm just going to take this apart here. Where are my fingers pointing out here? Are they at the front or are they at the side? That's right, they're at the front. So this is going to be a predator. I like to hunt. Now we're going to take a look at the teeth, and I'm going to pass it over to Teresa.
Thank you. So I'm going to put him back together here. So the first thing you notice about this skull is that, of course, he's got really big teeth, right? Now, I'd like you to imagine that you are eating a piece of meat, maybe a chicken wing, and think about which teeth are you using when you bite into that. It's probably going to be your canine teeth, so those big teeth on the side. Maybe yours are pointy as well. Maybe not quite as pointy as this guy's, but probably still pretty good to take out a chunk of meat out of something. And this is what he uses his canine teeth for catching his prey. Because as we've already discussed with his eye socket, this guy is a predator. Now looking at all his other teeth, they are adapted for eating meat as well. So when we look at his molars, the teeth in his back, they are sharp as well. And he does not have any flat teeth like us, because all he eats is meat. He doesn't eat anything else. So all his teeth need to be sharp. And then the teeth all the way in the front, he doesn't really use them for eating at all. These are mostly used for grooming himself and maybe, for getting some leftover pieces of meat off the bone, but mostly really just for cleaning himself. So this predator's teeth are really adapted for being a great predator and for eating only meat. So he is a carnivore. Now, since he's a carnivore, of course, you can imagine he needs a really good, strong bite as well. And the way we can tell the bite strength just from looking at a skull is by looking at this part of the skull here. This is called a sagittal crest. And depending on how high this is and how long it projects at the base of the skull, we can see how strong an animal's bite is, because this is where you can imagine his jaw muscles would attach. So for this guy, we can see there's a lot of room for big jaw muscles, so he will have a really strong bite. If we see an animal that doesn't have a very large crest or doesn't project at the back at all, then we can usually assume that it's not going to have a very strong bite at all.
So based on all of this, we have an animal that is almost 5 feet long. It has carnivore teeth, predator eyes, a very strong bite. Do you guys have a guess about what kind of animal we might have here? Did you guess lion? You're right. This is our African lion. Good job. All right, are you ready to move on to our next skull? All right, so now we have our next skull we're gonna take a look at here. So take a look, see what you can notice, and let's go ahead and measure this. There you go. All right, so we have about 30.5 centimeters here on this one. And again, if you do the math with me, we're gonna take that 30.5 and multiply it by 5, which is gonna give us 152.5 centimeters. So for all of us Americans, that's just right around 5 feet as well, from the tip of the snout to the base of the tail where it starts. Now, again, we're gonna take a look at these eyes. Are our eyes in the front, so I like to hunt, or are they on the side, I like to hide? Let's take a look right here. What do we see? You got predator? Good job. It does seem to be predator eyes. They're out in the front right there. So now I'm gonna pass this around to Teresa. She's gonna show you the teeth here.
Yes, so according to these eye sockets, it seems like we're looking at a predator, but let's have a look at the teeth as well and see if maybe they're telling us a different story. So just like our lion here, we do see those big canines, right? But what we also see is that the molars in the back are different than they were at our lion. They are now flat, almost like ours. So we have flat molars as well, because just like this animal, which skulls I'm holding here, we are omnivores. So this guy, while he might be a predator, does not only eat meat, he also eats plants. And in order to eat plants, he needs those flat teeth in the back for grinding. It's like when you imagine eating a piece of bread or something. You're not just using your teeth in the front, you're using those in the back so you can really get it nice and chewed up before you try to swallow it. And this guy would be doing the same thing. His incisors, or his front teeth, look very similar to the lion as well. And he might use them just like the lion for grooming, but he can also use them for, getting other foods, just helping him get them into his mouth kind of thing. So the difference between a carnivore tooth and an omnivore tooth are sometimes a little bit difficult to tell, because depending on the omnivore, they might be eating more meat or more plant matter, and depending on that is kind of what their back teeth look like. But we can always tell if they have the flat teeth in the back, then they're usually omnivores. Now, another thing that we can tell, of course, is the bite strength. Let's look at this guy. Do we see a big sagittal crest? Well, a little bit, right? It's not as big as with our lion, but again, we do see a little bit of a crest, and we do see a bit of a projection out from the base of the skull. So this animal probably has a good bite, but it's not quite as strong as our lions.
All right, so we know that we have an omnivore that's probably about 5 feet, and I'm gonna tell you guys that this is a species that can be found in Virginia. Do you have a guess what it is? Teresa, you wanna tell us? What do we have here?
This guy is a black bear.
All right, so you can find these in Virginia. Now let's move on to the next one. All right, so now we are on to our last skull today. So as we've done before, we are gonna go ahead and open it up and take a look at the length. All right, this one we've got about 28 centimeters on. Now, who can do the math real quick in their head to figure out the body size of that? 28 times 5, that's gonna be 140 centimeters, which is about 4.5 feet from the base, the tip of the nose to the base of the tail. And again, we're gonna take a look at the eyes. Now take a look in this one. Where are the eyes pointing here? Are they out in front? No, look, they're on the side. So eyes on the side, I like to hide. What do you think this animal might be? Did you guess prey? Good job. So now we're gonna take a look at Teresa, who will show us the teeth.
Yeah, so this animal has some really interesting teeth. Whoops. It has flat teeth in the back, but in the front, it doesn't have teeth at all. at least not at this part of the skull. If we look at the bottom, we kind of see the same pattern. We do see the flat teeth in the back. And remember from our bear, they are for grinding plant matter. And then we do have these little teeth in the front here. But again, we don't have any teeth on the upper jaw. And the way this works is when this animal eats, it's going to be doing a lot of grazing. So it can use that hard pellet on the top to pick up leaves, grass, and all the things that it eats. And it just uses those bottom teeth to kind of grasp it and then rip it off. So that's how this animal's jaw functions. And of course, like I already said, this one only eats plants. It's an herbivore, so we don't need those big canines that we've seen in the bear and in the lion. Now let's look at its sagittal crest. And as you've probably already assumed, an animal that only eats grass and leaves is not going to need a terribly strong bite, right? So on this skull, we don't really see much of a crest at all. So this animal, we would say it has a rather weak bite because again, it's an herbivore. It doesn't need to strike any prey, doesn't eat any terribly hard things. It just doesn't have the need for really big jaw muscles. All right, now Michelle, let's see what we got here.
All right, so we've got about 140 centimeters, so about 4.5 feet from nose to tail. We've got eyes on the side. It's prey. We know it is we know it is an herbivore. All right, and it has a very weak bite. And this is another one that you might find in your backyard, depending on where you live.
Yes, so this here is a deer. You can imagine putting some muscle and some fur on this, and you can see beautiful deer sleeping around your backyard.
All right, so zoo fans, we would like to thank you today for joining us, and we hope that you'll continue to join us on our virtual voyage. Have a great day.